Shalom, Bruchim Habaim. Welcome to this video. In this video, I will show you how to prepare for podcasts. Many students have this dream to just download a podcast and easily listen to it. Great, but how do we actually prepare ourselves? What kind of work do we have to do until we get there? Because when we start this and we are not prepared, it is super frustrating and chances are you are not going to try it again. So let's avoid that and let's see how we can make our dream come true. So let me say one thing before we start. Listening to podcasts is not a course. For me, a course is where they prepare you for the vocabulary building later. A podcast is a great tool to learn more expressions, to expand your vocabulary. That's all great, but it's not gonna work if you didn't put the work in before. So a course is for me something where they actually unfold the fundamentals of the language in a certain structure so that at the end you have all the tools to go with this language knowledge where you want to go. In our case here, we want to listen to podcasts. So having said that, let me give you 3 points to consider and to explain why they are important before you start the podcast journey. And then I will also give you some tips where you can start. In the next video, I will talk about podcasts for advanced students. So this is here for all levels and for those who want to start in the future. And well, without further ado, let's start. Well, before you start, please do not forget to get familiar with the alphabet and the reading. Yes, you can make an audio course. I have great tools for that too. Audio courses will, like Pimsleur. I mean, many of you have heard me praising Pimsleur, and I'm still behind that. But if you really want to progress in the language, even though you had an audio course, you will never get around this work of learning the alphabet and to get into the reading. Of course, basic vocabulary. I mean, just listening to something doesn't do the job. Some people say, oh yeah, but the children get a completely different offer. And if you do not want to speak like a child, I do not recommend this approach. Number 3, fundamental grammar rules, including the 3 main tenses, past, present, future, basic verbs and conjugations. And mind you, the conjugations in Hebrew are impossible to learn if you cannot read and write. Sorry, I hate to be here the party pooper and tell you the truth, but this is what it is. 3rd, gender and number for nouns and adjectives. Well, as you can see, this is, yes, it is very basic. But yes, the fundamentals, this is what we are talking about. And let me come back for a moment here to the alphabet and the reading. When you do an audio course, and I said it before, I praise Pimsleur for a lot of things, but they are not really stressing on reading and writing. But this is generally speaking with all the online Hebrew courses like this. So it really bugged me a long time ago that people do want to learn Hebrew. They're super motivated, but nobody explains to them why that part here is so super important. And this is the reason why I actually made my course free. I have a free reading and writing course in 4 languages to prepare you for everything else that is coming. You are not getting there if you cannot read and write. Okay, next point. This was just to tell you how you can solve this. And now we come to a service that I discovered already in, 2009, 2010, and I was happy to see that it is still around. I just love it. And it's like It has the touch and feel of a private project, and maybe this is the reason why I like it so much. There are two people behind who really put their whole passion for teaching Hebrew through podcasts into that project. This is not a super duper commercial project as you can see it from many others, but I just love it. I think this project here has great energy, and let me show you why I think this is the best way to start with podcasts. But I remind you, listening to podcasts is not a course. Okay? So let's have a look. Here, this is the site, HebrewPodcast.com. I'm also leaving you all these links in the description of the video. Now, when you go here to try a free sample lesson, then you end up here on sample lessons. And so far, you do not have to register or anything. And here you see that they have different levels. So it goes from easy to beginner to intermediate and to advanced. So let's go to one of those sample lessons. So if we go now here into the beginner's lesson, this is not the easy lesson. And anyway, it doesn't matter where you start. As I said, in my opinion, podcasting is not a course. I think if you have zero idea about Hebrew, this is not the course where to start with Hebrew. Then I would always send you to Pimsleur. But you have some basics. You can definitely start here. So this is the beginner lesson. And it is without Nikud, but with transliteration. And it is also with translation. Now, all of this is available now for easy, beginner, intermediate, but it disappears in the advanced lessons. That means then you only have Hebrew left and without Nikud, which is a great way of training, I think. Most of my students don't think so. I'm aware of that. And so let's see, what else do we have? Here on the right, you have all the material that comes with each podcast. And let's have a look here a little bit closer. So you can also only listen to it. If you want, you can use it as an audio. Everything can be downloaded. You can play here a little game where you have to, they challenge your reading and writing. Sounds familiar? Right. So, as I said, this one here also does not teach reading and writing, but remember, I have this free course for you, so you are covered at no cost. You can download the lesson guide, and that is great. The lesson guide is amazing. So here, for example, that was beginner level. Exactly. It's not easy. It's beginner. And here you have everything transcribed, everything really the way they speak, and then you always have it in Hebrew and with the transliteration. And if there is a verb, then you have it here on the right side, and then they conjugate it with you. What they do not do, they don't teach you verbs. That means they are not telling you, oh, lalechet, non-regular pa'al verb. So depends on what you want, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's not a course, but it's good, very good for what it is. If you want to go into verbs, just that we mentioned that, and you want to think about how to get in the future more into verbs and how to actually get that, how to master that subject, I have on my website here a free ebook that you can download. And there are also all the other books that I have for Hebrew verbs if you're not ready yet for the bootcamp course, where after 90 days you know Hebrew verbs. I can tell you that. So if you want to get into Hebrew verbs, you can do it also on a lower level before you take the big course. And now let's go on. You can take, after each video, you can take a quiz, and you can also use flashcards. The flashcards are also great. You can choose if you want it from English to Hebrew or from Hebrew to English, and if you want it with sound or without sound. So it's basically a no-brainer. And if we go here, play the memory game, You press play and then you try to find a card that matches. So here, no, it's not a match. So you can entertain yourself a little bit. You always hear me say that I am against gamification in language teaching, but I understand the wish for it. Okay, cuties, this was for getting started. And as you have seen, you can do a lot with them. And they talk about, they talk a lot of daily things in Israel. It's a very sweet project. And what I so much like about them is the creativity. And this is a project to expand your vocabulary. There is, in my opinion, basically zero grammar. And as you have seen, there is zero reading and writing. And but in the quizzes, you then need it. So for podcasting, for getting into podcasting as a beginner and train your ears, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. If you have started with Pimsleur, my preferred program for teaching Hebrew other than verbs, which is my subject, people who have started with Pimsleur basically have a super good ear because it's a pure audio course. And yes, there is some reading and writing. Well, reading, writing, not so much. But you can basically learn amazing Hebrew and have an amazing foundation without ever having written a letter. But then after that, you will not get around it. However, let me know how you like this. And for those of you who are a little bit more advanced and want to see what can I do later to get into podcasts and into more daily podcasts on another level, stay tuned. That's the next video. Okay. Neshikot. Shalom.